Hey y'all, I'm Emily, the Shady Grove Stitcher, and I love creating beautiful hand-stitched pieces. Welcome to the Pink Room, where I share my love of cross-stitch by showcasing projects I've completed in my quest to fill an antique cabinet my husband and I inherited from my in-laws.
Hello, welcome back to the Pink Room. I'm so excited to see all of you. This is actually my second time filming this video. I filmed it yesterday and I basically thought it was horrible. The robot vacuum, the robot vacuum started in the middle of it again. Look how little this is in comparison to my head. Oh, have I shown you this? Isn't this cute? We'll talk about this some other time. Anyway, this, okay? Next to my head, for scale, it's small. Oh my God, the vacuum started. It was just a show. It was a show, and it wasn't even a good show. So we're starting over. And then this morning we had a bit of a altercation. So I thought I would tell you about it. It's cold right now. It's really cold. Now you're gonna see this a week after I film it. So by the time you see this, it won't be cold anymore. It'll be in the 70s. But right now it's 11. Feels like -2. Yesterday morning, my husband had to go outside and thaw the hot water heater. So our hot water heater is in an exterior wall, and we have put foam stuff on the pipes to help insulate it, but there's part of it where you just can't, like fundamentally you can't squish it all in there, right? So when it gets bitterly cold, this is the second time it's happened since we've lived here, the water heater freezes and he has to go outside and thaw it with a hair dryer. So it feels like -2 outside, and he's outside with a coat and a beanie and, you know, ski pants and gloves and a hair dryer trying to thaw the water heater. So we survived that yesterday, and I thought, okay, we're good, no problem. And this morning I'm laying in bed because he leaves the house to go to work. I work from home, but he actually gets up and leaves. And so he was in the bathroom and I hear him say, oh, this is a family program, so I won't repeat exactly what he said, but it was a naughty word. And I thought, what's happened? And I really thought that the water heater had frozen again. And I'm like, well, shoot, he wrapped part of it with a towel and I kind of hoped it wouldn't happen. So like, what's going on? And he opens the door and he says, when you used my beard trimmers, you didn't put the guard back on it. Okay, well, let me just tell you one thing about my husband. He is very particular about some things. Like, people thought I was particular, and then I got married to this guy, and he is just super, super particular about things. And so anytime I use anything of his, I put it back exactly like I found it. So I said, well, I don't think it was me, because I usually put it back exactly like I found it. But if it was, I'm so sorry. And I'm trying so hard not to laugh, you guys. Because he went like this, and he's got this, like, he's got a beard, right? And it's not like a big bushy beard. He keeps it pretty short. And if we're being honest, we're all friends here, it's a little patchy. There's definitely like a swash right here where there's no hair. I was like, so I'm always getting on to him about, just tell me, whatever it is that you're looking for, tell me what it is and I will help you find it, because I usually know when he can find almost nothing. So I said, what do you from in there, he goes, have you seen the guards for this thing? Mm-hmm. So he just got out a smaller guard and shaved his neck with it or whatever. When he had me look at it, which was a very indignant, can you tell what's wrong? I said, I honestly can't. And that was the truth. I would not send him out the door looking like a goofus. But he wasn't very happy. So between yesterday with no hot water and thawing the water heater with the hair dryer, and today where he accidentally shaved off his beard because it was my fault, we're having a real bang up week here at this house. Man, So when we talked last time, I was super duper extra ultra pumped that I had 500 subscribers. Still am. I will never stop being excited that you guys show up and want to spend time with me here in the Pink Room. It will never get old, not ever. I don't know what happened with Flosstube number 4, but just over the past week, it's been climbing and climbing and climbing, and there have been a lot of comments. And I think, although, you know, I'm not a professional YouTuber, I think the more that we comment and share, the more that YouTube is surfacing some of these videos to new people. And a lot of people said, you know, I found you through the browse feature. Whatever. We're at 1,100, guys. We went from 500 to 1,100 in the span of a week, and I think it's incredible. And I just I think it's so fun, and I hope it never gets old. I don't think it's ever gonna get old. Y'all might get tired of me talking about it, but I want you to know that I appreciate you, and I think it's a really big deal that you're here. Okay, let's do a little housekeeping. So, I refuse to teach my parents social media. My parents are in their late 60s. They're very intelligent people. Do not misunderstand me. But they are technically challenged folks. And I just don't have the bandwidth in my life for them to be calling me every 10 minutes asking me how Facebook works. I was very frank with them about it. I said, if you want to get an account and you want to sign up and you want to talk to your friends about it, knock yourself out. I'm not putting anything on Facebook that I want to hide from you. I just don't want to teach you how to use it all the time. My dad still, okay, separate issue. My dad is really into music and is obsessed with iPods. Like, I don't even know how to tell you how obsessed he is with iPods. He keeps old phones, he keeps old iPads, he turns them all into Apple doesn't even make iPods, guys. They don't. So he uses different devices that have retired from their phone status so that he can have music in the garage and outside in the garden. And I'm like, Dad, it's just not that interesting. Well, he thinks it's interesting. So we're always talking about how to get music from the computer to the iPod or the iPhone or the iPad or the whatever. Like, that is a constant chat, which fundamentally would be fine, but we've been having the same chat for 20 years. So my patience with iTunes can run a little thin. And I just wasn't willing to add how do you use Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever to it. So my parents, I have not encouraged them to use social media. Fine, whatever. So I told them that I was doing this channel. And they were like, oh, that's really great. And I'm telling them how excited that we're all interacting and I'm connecting with people who are into what I'm into. And they're like, yay, they're really encouraging. And my mom said, I really wish that I could see. And I was like, well, I don't know that you enjoy it so much, but okay. Well, I created a reel. I don't even remember which reel it was, but I created a reel for Instagram and it was small enough that I could send it to her. And I was like, this is kind of what I'm putting on YouTube. And she calls me and she said, well, I think it's really cute. And I said, thank you so much. I appreciate that. She goes, but I think you talk a little fast. My mother has told me that I talk fast for the past 40 years. Okay, this is not news, people. And I said, well, thankfully, there's a slow down button somewhere in a corner. There's a little cog thing where you can change how fast a video is played. So some people, I feel like, talk really slow and I speed them up to 1.25. And I said, Mom, they could slow me down if they need to they could slow me down to 75%. And she said, I think you need to tell your little internet friends that. I think they need to know that they can slow you down because you just talk way too fast. So, little internet friends, If you think I talk too fast, my mother would like for you to know that you can slow me right down. I have now done my public service for the day. Okay, thinking about last time, most of you enjoyed hearing about 123 Stitch. Some people thought maybe I was dissing them, and that was not my intention at all. I think they're a phenomenal company. They're just not in a warehouse. And that's what several of you wrote to tell me, which I thought was pretty cool. So some of you guys are local, and I said, it's kind of like a Mervyn's in that it's a standalone building outside of a mall, and you guys knew that it had been a Haverty's. And I'm like, oh, right, now I get it, now I see it. Mervyn's hasn't been in business since 1989. But anyway, it was a Haverty's, which I don't know if they have Haverty's where you live, but it's just a furniture store. So that's where 123 Stitch is, and maybe it'll be open to the public one day, maybe not, we'll see. But I thought that was a really little fun fact to share with y'all. Since we last spoke, I have been watching some things, which I will talk to you about. I have been stitching. So I'm pretty obsessed with Brenda Gervais. Like, she designs things that I'm not even interested in, and I'm like, I'd stitch that, absolutely. So they're doing market releases right now, and she showed this little, like, it's a collaboration with Chantel's 141. It's a darling frame that Chantel has made, and then these two little bunnies. I don't decorate for Easter, and I'm like, I could use some bunnies in my life. Anyway, she's also releasing Spring Swan. And I don't remember if she's actually calling it Spring Swan, but she has Summer Swan and Christmas Swan. And I think somebody said there's an Autumn Swan, and if there is, I missed that memo. But the Spring Swan is coming out, and I'm very interested in it. I had put on my stitch plans for this year to do Summer Swan, and I'm currently working on it. It doesn't look like a swan. I'm a middle starter, so I started in the middle of the pattern, and that led me to, well, let me just go get it. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. So I'm stitching this on Vintage Country Mocha, which is what is called for, and I started in the center, which was, here-ish, and that gave me a lot of flowers, and then I started on this swan body. Guys, this does not look like a swan. And I'm not even sure at what point is it gonna start looking like a swan? Because I've been stitching swan body for like 3 days now, and there's no swan to be had here, friends, no swan. So maybe when I get to the head, I don't know. The Summer Swan calls for arrowhead, I think. I'll correct myself here if I'm wrong. And Jessica, the Sweetwater stitcher, mentioned that the Christmas Swan calls for grits instead, and that arrowhead was lighter, like creamier colored and not quite as white, and it didn't stand off of the fabric as much. So I appreciated her saying that, and I decided I'm gonna stitch all the swans. I'm gonna do them all in grits. And y'all know how terrible stitching white is. Now, stitching white with one thread is a lot less painful than stitching white with 2 threads. God, there's just not much. I hate stitching more, stitching less. It's my least favorite. That's what I'm trying to say. I hate stitching white with 2 threads. They never lay right. They look lumpy. It's not cute. It's not a fun experience. So the one thread, because this is 40 count, the one thread isn't bad, but it just goes on forever. Oh my God. So I'm working on the swan. But my point was, there's the Spring Swan, and I'm excited about it, and that's coming. And there was a point at which I thought I would talk to you about the market releases, because there are some pieces coming out that I think are really cute. And I just think you probably don't need to hear about it again. Like, everybody is talking about what's fresh and new. Everybody's talking about what they're going to be stitching. I'm trying to not buy more because my stash is rather large, which let's talk about that for a second. Okie dokie. I'm sure you watch Brenda and Laura. Who doesn't watch Brenda and Laura? If you're new to Flosstube, there's a channel, Brenda and the Serial Starter, with Brenda and her friend Laura, and they are a delightful duo. I really, really enjoy them. Well, I was watching probably their not most recent video, but the one prior, and Brenda was talking about how some people in the comments can get a little fussy about haul and talking about, these are my words, not Brenda's words, but how people can say like, oh, you have too much stash, or why do you buy so much? Something about quantity. I don't know. So I have probably like back in 2020, I was following an account on Instagram, and this lady talks all the time about stay in your own lane. Now, she's a health and fitness guru, so she's basically like, sorry for the fussy dog. She's basically saying like, don't compare your progress to somebody else's progress. Just focus on what is happening in your own lane. And I have really tried to take that to heart. And you're just a lot happier when you don't care what other people are doing. So Brenda said that pattern collecting and cross-stitching are two totally separate hobbies. And I was like, yes, Brenda, I agree. So, you know, I think that with market coming out, with all these new releases, people are going to have opinions about what they have to have and what's cute, but maybe they don't have to have. And I just didn't really feel like I could really add much to that conversation. So I'm not talking about it. But also, if you are out there feeling a little self-conscious about what you do or don't own, just worry about what's happening in your own lane. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what other people are doing. You do what makes you happy. That's all that matters. Okie dokie. Things I'm watching. I have a couple of Flosstubers and then a couple of Netflix programs. Okay, so Maggie from Home on the Ridge. You know how sometimes you think you have your life together and then you don't? I mean, I feel like I say that to you all the time, but that's really true. So I had followed Maggie, I think a long time ago, on YouTube or Instagram or both. And then sometimes I get a wild hair up my rear and I go and start unfollowing people because I'm like, this is just too much for me to follow, too much for me to watch. I can't do it. And I start unfollowing people. Well, on my last video, I was talking about how I was afraid of running out of things to talk to you guys about and coming every 2 weeks, I guess, and talking to you, and how that it feels sometimes like a bit of an aggressive schedule. And Maggie was so sweet and said she had to kind of scale back and go to once a month, and was basically encouraging me to do that if it works for me. And I just, first of all, no idea why I ever unfollowed her, because her stuff is adorable. So Home on the Ridge, Maggie, go follow if you haven't. Top notch. Apologies, Maggie, for stopping following you. Didn't mean to. But also just a big fat thank you for reminding me that we're all making our own rules, and if every 2 weeks gets to be too much, then I can scale back, and none of us are going to break up. We're still going to be friends. So I appreciated her dose of reality. And then I stayed because she's got really cute stuff. Win-win. I'm also watching, or did watch, or whatever, Linen and Scraps. So again, two friends like Brendan the Serial Starter / Laura. Kathy and Molly are some friends, and one of them has been undergoing some cancer treatments, so they haven't been releasing videos quite as frequently as they had been for a while, but they were back, and it was like catching up with old friends. I really enjoyed it. They will dish you up some accent if you're interested in some Southern accent, which I happen to love. I've told you guys before about Sarah Stitches. She's in Arkansas and she's got a bit of a drawl, and I just, man, if you're offering an accent, I am here for it. But they're really cute and delightful. So if you need an upbeat channel to watch, they are fun. Again, linen and scraps. And then the other thing I was going to talk to you about is what's happening on Netflix. Okay, now maybe it's my age, I don't know, but I've gotten very into documentaries. I didn't follow the Murdaugh murders when that happened, like live, whenever that was. Excuse me. I didn't follow that, but I did watch the documentary and I found it fascinating. Can y'all hear him? He's very aggressive with his snoring today. But this week, well, prior to this week, I started watching the O.J. Simpson one that's on Netflix. The O.J. Simpson thing, I think, was in 1997, so I was in middle school. Just dead asleep. I can't focus with him snoring. Oh my God, I'm drooling. Oh my God. I should be fired from this job. Okay. Let me try it again. I'm so embarrassed. My God. O.J. Simpson, 1997. The documentary on Netflix, I think, is really good. I mean, I watch all of them understanding that there is probably some degree of truth that's being left out. I thought it was great. So if you're looking for something to watch and you didn't pay attention to it in 1997, although all of you were telling me that you were part of the over 55 crowd, so I'm sure you did. But it's interesting. The other one that we watched, so I had flagged the Gabby Pepito documentary. Sorry, my glasses are filthy and it's driving me nuts. I had flagged that on Netflix, and then on Monday, my husband was like, hey, that thing came out and I want to watch it. And I said, well, I'm really glad that you said something because I would have totally watched it without you. So Monday night we sit down, we're going to watch one episode. And then Tuesday he's got, gosh, I'm not doing a great job cleaning. Tuesday he's on the planning and zoning committee for our city. So he had a planning and zoning committee meeting, and so we thought, well, we'll watch one on Monday and one on Wednesday, maybe one on Friday. Yeah, no, we watched all of them on Monday. Bam, 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 knocked those puppies right out. We couldn't look away. And then I Googled something earlier this week about her or whatever, all the news that came up, because like the most recent stuff comes up in Google first, and they said how the family lawyers for the boyfriend were super upset and thought it was bad. So is it true? I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. So you might give it a watch if that's your jam. Are you interested in haul at all? Some people are really interested in haul, I guess. And I don't feel like I have that much, but I see this shelf over here. This is where I put junk when I haven't put it away. And there's kind of a lot up there. So maybe I'll just grab it real quick and show you. Okay. Now we talked about, it's gonna rattle. Somebody last time when I was rattling the bags from 1-2-3 Stitch, they were like, who cares? Which I thought was funny because I was trying to be so nice and not rattle. So we talked about the 1-2-3 things. I still haven't put them away. I'm usually much more responsible than that. You win some, you lose some. Okay, and then I think I told you that Carrie is making me pour. And I mean that in a really delightful way. So Carrie got into the Fox and Rabbit Club, or she knew that there were openings in the Fox and Rabbit Club. So she ran and joined the Fox and Rabbit Club, and I have now joined the Fox and Rabbit Club. And so that stuff came. I have only gotten one order thus far, and I don't know, the ship date on it was January. It's called Melting Moments. It's a really pretty beigey something or another. Very into this. So I got into the club at 40 count, And then Carrie found out that there was an opening in another club, and I won't even try to tell you what the name of it is. But she said, if you just email them, you might be able to get in. So I snagged the last spot it's a Seraphim club, and the linen they sent is called Winter Mint. Oh, the glare is kind of gross. That's pretty accurate, I would say, on the color scale. It might be a little more saturated than that. They said they would send neutrals, and I assumed that everything was going to be beige. And then it's like a greeny, gray, man, it's delicious. So that came, that's fun. And then there was more stuff that came with this. Hang on. I was with it enough to put all my patterns together, but not put them away. I just stuck them in the closet. Let me open it. Oh my God. Okay. I did a little shopping. Some of this came a while back, but I was still going to share it with you just for funsies. I got it Black Friday. I ordered from Hobby House, and then I didn't open my box for a real long time. I don't know why. I got Seasons of the Heart, Brenda Gervais. The love affair continues, right? So spring, summer, autumn, and winter. I'm sure you guys have seen this. These are little guys, little pillows. I can't get over it. I think it's so cute. And then, in fact, Carrie was talking about this on her Flosstube yesterday. These little, these guys here, I guess you're supposed to get some sort of chipboard and make the plaques, tags. That's what I would call them, tags. I like the idea of doing them. I don't know how to do it. So if you have done this or you know about the little I can do the stitching. The stitching is not the problem. I have all of so all these are stitched on vintage country mocha. I have it. I've cut it. It's serged. It's ready to go. This is happening later this year. And I'm not sure about this chipboard situation. So that's number one. I also, what else did I get at that time? Oh, this is the Summer Swan, in case you haven't seen it by some stretch of the imagination. It's still, I've done, all this, and she's not looking swanny yet. So anyway, there's that. I'm excited about it. I also got snowbirds from Brenda Gervais. I just think they're so cute. Oh my God. I love a snowman in my life. Never say no to snowmen. That is my philosophy. And then that's everything I got at Black Friday. Okay. And then I called Shepherd's Bush. So I don't know what the deal is with winter berries and pine, but you can't find it. So look how cute it is. Okay, so in the beginning, I thought, Brenda, why are you doing these patterns where things grow out of other things' heads? So I think there's a bunny, I forget what it's called, but I think there's a bunny one for spring. And then there's this, I guess he's a snowman because he has a carrot nose, right? But I loved it. And everybody else was stitching it. And we have all been having a conversation about Dasher and Dancer, which I'll talk about in a hot second, and everybody's talking about FOMO. This was the FOMO inducer for me last year. Like, wanted to do it so bad, couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm in a D-Stash group, and there's an ISO page, In Search Of, and I posted, does anybody have some winter berries and pine they want to get rid of? And a very nice lady said, if you call Shepherd's Bush, they have some. And I'm like, what are they, gatekeeping winter berries and pine? So I looked online. It wasn't online. And I called and I said, hi, this very nice lady on Facebook said you might have some. Do you? And she was like, sure do. And I was like, great, give me 2. So I took one. I sent one to Carrie. We're going to do some winter berries. While I was there, if I'm going to pay for you to ship me one thing, I'm just going to go ahead and get a bunch of different things that are on man, you guys, I have like a constant list of patterns. Some are I'm on the fence about it. So my sister and I rate patterns on a scale of 1 to 10. And a pattern that's like between a 6 and an 8 is really cute and I like it. And maybe it would be darling at your house, but I'm probably not going to stitch it and put it at my house. If it's like an 8 to a 10, I'm probably going to get it. So there are some that kind of live in a gray area where I'm on the fence and am I going to get it or not? And then there are others that I'm like, yep, I'm for sure going to get these, but I already have a pretty long stitch list, so I'm not in a big hurry. Well, if I'm placing an order for something in particular, in this case, winterberries and pine, I'll just go ahead and order some of the other things that I'm wanting. So this time that meant, what are you called? Let It Snow, which I think everybody and their mother has stitched, but I still love it. And again, with the snowman, I think he's darling. So I got that. I also got the Christmas Swan. Now I know that she will take forever and 3 centuries to turn into a swan. Man, this lighting is just not great. But I love her. And I also got, and I don't know why, the Light of Winter. I do know why. Let me see if I can. It's the border, okay? That's what it is. It's the border. I mean, I think the house is nice. There's not too much floaty stuff. Sometimes in a pattern, see like this up here zone, how there's stuff that's kind of like not anchored. This stuff is all kind of anchored, right? Like it's all rooted. There are just lines of stuff and it feels stuck. Some of this stuff, like these little trees, feel a little floaty to me. This doesn't have too much floaty stuff, and I don't like floaty things, but it was the border that I just was like, man, I love that. There's also a cardinal. I'm really into cardinals. And Lisa L. Snaps says that borders make or break a piece. And in this case, Lisa, I think you're right. So I did that, and then as we were preparing for Dasher and Dancer, which again, I'll get to, I ordered some Lakeside. It is gonna be here Monday. And Carrie and I were talking about greens that I could stitch with. And she had all the greens that this world had to offer. And so she was doing a floss toss for me, which I really appreciated. Did I tell you this last time? I remember Carrie laughing at me for saying that she had all the greens, and I don't know if it was a reel or a post or a Flosstube. Well, if I'm telling you again, I'm really sorry. But I said, I just don't have that much fancy floss. I like it. I'm in the process of building my stash. I don't have that much. And then like the very next day, I have one of those antique accordion sewing boxes, and that's what I keep my fancy floss in. And I thought, you know what? It's all kind of like wadded up in there, and I have enough now that I could put it in some drawers that I have. And so that seemed like a really great plan. And I got them all out, and I was like, oh, look at my little fancy floss collection. It's so cute. And I put it in the drawer, and I take a picture of it, and I put it on Instagram, and I am so proud. And then I turn around and there's all this, which I didn't put in the drawer. I still haven't put in the drawer. So this is Classic Colorworks, Gentle Art, and Weeks Dye Works. It's so much. It is for me to do all of the patterns that I bought on Black Friday. So that's that. Now, okay. I'm trying to time box myself today. A, so I stay focused, but B, so that the vacuum doesn't come on later, because when I did this yesterday, the vacuum came on and I'm like, what is with me and the vacuum? But I need to be done in 31 minutes, so I can't talk too long. Dasher and Dancer. I did a Flosstube extra in case, I'm just gonna breeze through the Dasher and Dancer thing real quick in case you didn't see the Flosstube extra. There is a Flosstube extra. You can go watch if you want a little bit more detail. It's like 6 minutes long. Dasher and Dancer is a pattern from Hobby House Press. Carrie and I both saw Lori Holt stitch it. We loved it. We couldn't get over it. We've decided we're gonna stitch it. We're gonna stitch it together. We've never hosted, I've never done a stitch along. I've never hosted one. I have no idea what we're doing. we're just winging it and we're going to hope it works out. Would love for you to join in with us. I have created like a calendar. So what I did was I took the pattern and I've blocked out different sections in color so you know what we're going to stitch in March, what we're going to stitch in April. It's going to run March to October. And I just want to be really clear. When you download the calendar, what I'm calling the calendar, the pattern is going to look blurry. And it looks blurry because I'm not trying to get into copyright infringement, right? It is there as a go by. It is clear enough that you will be able to tell which sections of your pattern you should be stitching. But it's not clear enough that you could actually stitch from it because people work really hard on these patterns and I don't want to give anybody the opportunity to steal somebody's work. That's a no-no. So we're going to be doing Dasher and Dancer. There's a rowdy chat going of folks saying that they're going to join in, which I think is amazing. And others saying, oh my God, I already have so much on my plate and I can't. I'm looking at you, Christy. She really wants to join in. Do you guys watch? I've talked to you about the happiest stitches on earth. Christy's one of the girls in there and I just love her. And she keeps saying, but I want to be a part of the banter. I want to be a part of the conversation. But she has a lot of stitch plans and others of you guys have a lot of stitch plans where you're saying, gosh, I would really like to, but I can't. So, you know, we might do it again. Like I said, we're both going to be stitching winterberries and pine. It was funny because the winterberries and pine came to me. I sent Carrie's to Carrie and she said, when are you going to start it? And I was like, I don't know. When are we starting it? So, she's my, you know, we are friends. We're good friends, but apparently she has also become my emotional support stitcher. So anyway, my point is, if you can't jump on the Dasher and Dancer bandwagon, there may be other opportunities because apparently we are now codependent. All right. I want to talk to you about, gosh, I feel like I'm in a hurry. I need to talk to you about floss drops, needlework stands, and then the projects. Floss drops. Okay, I currently bobbinate my floss. Nope, that's not even really true. I bobbinate some of my floss. So if I get fancy floss and it comes on a card like this, I will leave it on the card like this. I will put it on a ring, I will snip the threads, and I will just leave it alone. I had not used floss like this, and when I say like this, I mean hanging, until I did Winter Moon. And I love it. I like it. I like the thread being pre-cut. I like it hanging. I like it being on a ring. There's just a lot of stuff I really like about it. All of my DMC is on bobbins in acrylic drawers in the cabinet. Bobbins have been fine. The bobbins have done me no wrong. I would prefer to switch to floss drops, floss chips, floss, whatever you want to call them. And every year at work, we get a bonus. You know, it's not like I'm not retiring off this thing, but I try to just save my money because I'm like, what am I going to buy? You know, I don't want to, my point is I don't want to blow it on something. So I usually just save it. Well, the past couple of years, really since I started cross stitching, I try to choose something that I really like or want or wouldn't necessarily normally run out and buy as a way to celebrate the bonus. And so that's what I'd like to do this year, except I would like your input. So I have looked at Pip and Chip bobbins and Annie's Keepers, and I like them both for different reasons. So I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me everything you think. I like the Pip and Chip bobbins because there are no stickers. Currently, I use those stupid DMC stickers on my bobbins, and of course, they fall off all the freaking time. Somebody said, oh, you could just dab a little nail glue on them, and I thought, I'm not going to glue stickers onto my bobbins. Who's got the time? So I like that there are no stickers. There's no chance of the label falling off. my concern is each set of the Pippin chips is like $250. And so if I wanted a set of DMC and then of Classic Colorworks and then of, whoever, that's expensive, A. B, I could have a lot of empty bobbins. So, I mean, yes, I had this giant wad of fancy floss today, but it feels like killing an ant with a hydrogen bomb. Like it's a lot of extra bobbins for not a lot of floss. That's my feeling. Okay. Option 2 is Annie's Keepers. And people say, so Pippin Chip makes some stickers. And I guess the stickers are like super stickers. And people are saying if you put the Pippin Chip stickers on the Annie's Keepers chip bobbin thingies, that they hold really well. So I was thinking of doing that instead because I would get the color sticker, which I like. It would be extra sticky. And I'm just going off what the internet says. But I think the Annie's Keepers are a little bit more affordable than Pippin Chip, but not by a lot. It's not like they're half price or anything. Like you'd save $40 or something. So those are the two different things I'm considering on the bobbin chip front. Now, if you're using something else and you really like it, I need you to tell me in the comments what you use and why you like it. Unless you use cardboard and then I don't want to hear about it. It's not that I'm not a careful person. I'm a very tidy person. And despite what my pile of stuff would lead you to believe, I'm pretty organized. I'm interested in plastic or wood or something that's going to hold up over time instead of something that I'm going to have to replace. That's the goal, is to invest in something that is going to hold up over time. So tell me below, what are you using to hang your floss from? Separately, I need you to tell me all your thoughts and feelings about needlework stands, okay? So most of the stuff I stitch is small. I mean, sorry for clinking this. I'm putting it next to my head just for frame of reference. This is head sized, 8 by 6, I don't know, small. I just finished this other little dude. He's in a nurge, again, small. I would say most of the things I stitch are smaller than 12 by 12. Of course, I'm talking today about Dasher and Dancer. It's 19 inches long. Last time I talked to you about Main Street, it's 40 inches long. So I'm not saying I'm never gonna have a big piece, but for the most part, I stitch pretty small pieces. I prefer Q-snaps. So any sort of stand you use, I need to know the Q-snap compliant stands, just because I know Jordan really likes the Jordan the Tattooed Stitcher really likes those round hoops. Not my jam. I like the Nurge fine. I really like a Q-snap because when I am done working on it, I can, how do I describe this? I like release the tension, right? So it's stretched taut right now, and I just twist these in to sort of release the tension on the fabric when I'm not stitching. I can also clamp it on 3 sides so that I'm not clamping over stitches. I know a bunch of y'all will say it's fine, just put some muslin over it or some tissue paper. I'm neurotic, so it's not for me. But I really like Q-snaps. So I was thinking of investing in a stand because some people say it's nice to not hold something. Some people say you can stitch faster because you can use 2 hands. It seems like a good idea. I don't really know. So question number 1, why do you use a stand? My sister uses a generic craft stand from Edmunds, and it's a $30 stand from Amazon. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little larger than I think I would prefer. And then you have to like slide. This is my understanding. She lives in a different state than me. I haven't seen it in action, but it's like there's a clamp and you slide this into the clamp and it clamps down. And so every time you want to flip this over to tie off your threads, you have to unclamp it and take it out, flip it over and put it back in. That seems unnecessary. I like on the Lowry stands, there's that like little twisty doober jobber where you just loosen it. This stays clamped all the time. It's here, it's facing you. There's the twisty clamp doober jobber. You loosen it, this flips around, you tie off your threads, you flip it back, you clamp it down. Jordan has one. I asked her about it. She said it's the only stand that she has used daily for the past 5 years. So I thought that was a pretty great idea. I mean, a pretty great testimonial. My couch is a little fat. It has like fluted arms. So I think I would have to have the longer sidebar just to get it over to me. And then there's a lot of conversation about the regular clamp versus the corner clamp. So the whole Lowry thing feels very overwhelming to me and quite expensive. I'm not sure that it's worth the investment. Maybe it is. I don't know. Relying on you guys because I feel like we have developed a relationship here, and I just trust you guys a little bit more than like Jane Smith on the internet. Apologies if there's actually a Jane Smith out there. It wasn't targeted at you. I think it could be neat. I'd like to know if you use one, why you use it, what you use, what you like about it, what you wish was different. Gosh, I sound needy today. Okay, this concludes the chatting portion of the Flosstube. Let's move on to the projects. We're going to talk about 2 projects today. One I did for my mom, one I did for my dad. For those keeping track, I have 19 minutes before I have to go. I can tell time. So my mom really loves gifts where people have invested their time. So she has a lot of heirloom quilts and really values the craft and also the time that people spend doing it. At one point, she said nobody had ever made her a quilt. So in 2023, I made her a quilt and I made my dad a quilt. And her quilt is, I'll put a picture in here. Her quilt was applique hearts made from vintage sheets. And I did a piano key border on it with a scalloped edge. Pink is her favorite color. It's just a little lap quilt, but I wanted her to have something that was specifically made for her. And after I created the quilt, I wanted to do a cross stitch piece. So I chose the Rose and Morning for Mother's Day in 2023. She's a prolific gardener. And I loved the little saying on it. I loved the soft colors. The called for fabric is 16 count bamboo Ada. I used 32 count limestone Lugana because it's what I stitched everything on for a hot minute. I think it turned out fine. I think it could have stood a little bit of a darker fabric. The limestone Lugana actually is very similar in color to bamboo. But some of the floss, particularly the yellow, is very, very soft. And I just would have preferred to see the detail a little bit better on it. It's a pretty long, skinny guy. It's 235 stitches by 57. I turned it into a pillow. I got some lace, I guess you would say, from Hobby Lobby. And I just used a basting stitch and I basted the lace to the top and the bottom of the stitched piece, and then I stitched that to some ticking. Is it ticking fabric or ticking? I never know. Anyway, I stitched it to the ticking and made this little pillow, and it sits on her guest bed, and she really enjoys it. Now, what you can't see from the photos and the video are the fact that I ran out of fabric. So let's pretend that this is the stitched piece. On one end, the stitches come right up to the edge. Like there is not even a 1/4 inch seam on one side. It's just 1/8 of an inch, and it's held on by a wish and a prayer. So that was the point at which I learned you have to cut your fabric bigger than you think you need, because when you go to finish it, boy howdy, it can get snug. Every project teaches us a lesson. That was the lesson. Use more fabric. And then the same year, like I said, I made a quilt for my dad. My dad, since we're talking about quilts, I'll show you my dad's quilt. He is, I told you earlier, obsessed with music and his iPods. His favorite band is Pink Floyd. So I have some design software for my professional life, and I used it to figure out how to make a prism. And I recreated the Dark Side of the Moon cover art for a quilt for him. It's rather modern. I'm not a modern quilter by any stretch of the imagination, but I really liked how I did echo quilting. And if you don't quilt, echo quilting is basically where you just follow the lines that already exist. You follow the lines of, how can I describe that? If there is a line in the pattern, you follow it with your quilting. So in this case, the triangle of the prism made a line, and the quilting lines kind of follow the triangle lines. Man, if I had it in front of me where I could point and wiggle my finger, that would make more sense. Anyway, so I had made him a Dark Side of the Moon quilt, but I didn't want to leave him out of the stitching. So for Father's Day of 2023, I stitched Tired Trio by Plum Street. Emily, why would you stitch sloths? Great question. News story. When I was little, and I mean like 6, 8, we had family game night once a week, I think. I don't know. And we were playing Trivial Pursuit one night. And in the 80s, there wasn't like kids Trivial Pursuit, kids Scrabble, kids anything. It was just the regular game, and we played it. So we were playing Trivial Pursuit one night, and I don't remember what the question was, but the answer was a 3-toed sloth. And Dad said the answer was a 3-toed sloth, and Mom and I were both like, please. Did not believe him. Now, I know we didn't own a World Book encyclopedia, but we fact-checked him because we didn't believe it. We thought it was such rubbish. So it was so out of left field that the sloth has now become a bit of a mascot for our family. And when I saw the Tired Trio, I just knew it was perfect for him. I also knew, like, if I had stitched the Dark Side of the Moon prism, that Mom wouldn't let him put it out in the house. So Tired Trio is, let me see, 57 wide by 92 high. The pattern calls for 36 count American chestnut from R&R. I'm using a mystery linen. I, again, in a D-stash group, thought I was ready to graduate. I started on Ada, then I moved to Even Weave, that limestone Lugana that seems to never die. And then I wanted to try linen, and so it was a really low pressure way to give it a shot. I bought a scrap bag from a gal, but it's got a bunch of linen in it, and I couldn't tell you what it is. So I used that with the called for floss, and I stitched the Tired Trio, and I think it is so cute. And then I framed it in just a really simple little gold frame because my mom's decorating style is very pretty. She has a lot of antiques. She also has a lot of like crystal and brass, and like she had a lot of cranberry glass for a while, just really fussy stuff. And so I thought the only prayer I had of this thing sitting out on a table in their house was if it was framed nicely. So I framed it just in a real plain brass frame so that it could sit in the living room. And it does. It sits next to their couch, and I think it's really cute. And now they both have something personal and fun and specific to each of them. And I really enjoyed doing those things for them. Okay. Today, Flosstube has gone much better than yesterday. Yesterday, I was trying to get through everything a little bit faster, and I ran out of space on my phone. The vacuum started. It was, just a hot mess. Today has gone much better. Minus that whole part when my husband shaved his beard off. Oops. I appreciate you guys dropping me your comments and telling me about your chips and your bobbins and your stands, because I really do need and want help. I also appreciate your patience as I had to go and fetch my patterns and my floss so I could share my haul. I don't buy stuff all that frequently. I am in the clubs, so those things will be coming. I saw on Fat Quarter Shop's Flosstube this week, they're doing a needle minder club. I love me a needle minder. Man, I really do. There's a metal cart that sits next to the couch that I keep all my stitching things on, readily available. And I have all my needle minders stuck to them because they're so cute. Oh my God, they're so cute. It's a flamingo toes. This is not a PSA. They don't know that I exist. There's no kickback. I'm just telling you, if you're into flamingo toes needle minders, there's a needle minder club. It's, I think, $19.99 a month with a $4.99 club fee. It's going to run, I think, July of 2025 through June of 2026, but don't quote me. And Bev is going to do a needle minder with a coordinating cross stitch piece and embroidery piece. I was talking to you about haul because I was saying that I was in the fabric clubs. I was thinking of joining the needle minder clubs, but I don't really think I need 12 or 11, however many new needle minders. And if I was going to get that many needle minders, then I would definitely want to choose them. So I don't think that is the club for me. Like, I've added quite a few patterns. Now I've got this Dasher and Dancer thing that I'm doing. It was not part of my stitch plans. Dasher and Dancer was not planned for this year at all. And then I just knew the FOMO would be off the charts if I didn't do it with Carrie. So, you know, other things are coming into the fold and maybe I will surprise myself. I'm getting through things faster this year than I have in years past because I'm stitching every day. I'm still not fast by any stretch of the imagination, but I might get more accomplished this year than I thought I would. That's what I'll say. But I don't buy that much, so that's why I don't usually have a haul segment. It's a long story. But, you know, when you have this much floss, it's kind of fun to say, look at this, even if a lot of the patterns are things that you have seen before. So I think that's it for today. I appreciate you guys coming and joining me here in the Pink Room. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed chatting with you today, much more so than yesterday, which was a hot mess. I hope you had a good time. I hope you have a lot of smart things to tell me about the things I'm considering buying next time. So I will see you in 2 weeks, which will be March 12th. I'm going to talk to you about 2 other pieces that I have done for other people. One was a commission that I know nothing about. Unless you're into Superman, it'll mean something to you. Otherwise, I don't get it. So we'll do that and a wedding gift. We'll talk about those. And then hopefully something happens. You know, last time I thought I'm not going to have anything to tell them. And then my mom needed you to tell me, nope, my mom needed me to tell you that I talk too fast and there's a slow down button. And apparently I made my husband shave his beard off. Our hot water heater froze. I have that haul that I forgot about. So it's just, these things add up. I keep a list of stuff where I'm like, oh, I might tell my friends about that the next time I talk to them, but I still, you know, I think, oh, my life's not that interesting. I'm not going to have anything to tell you. And then these things manifest. So if there is anything specific you'd like to hear about, you just let me know below. I'll be happy to blab on about it for however long. And then hopefully some fun things happen between now and next time so I can talk to you about those new pieces. Sometimes when my sister and I are emailing each other, we're like, I'm just babbling because I don't want to go because I want to keep hanging out with you. That's how I feel. I'm babbling because I don't want to go because I want to keep hanging out with you. But I do need more coffee. Mine is very cold. So I'll go make some more and then be a responsible adult and do some work. So hope you have a great rest of your day. Love you so much. Talk to you next time. Bye.